When you get your plaster bowl back, you will notice that it is nice and hard and sturdy, however it is still very fragile. So it is important that you're careful and that we're not dropping them on the floor or anything like that. Now if you notice around the edges, I have tried to cut it a little bit, but if you notice there's a part that you don't like or you want it a little smoother, you can always go ahead and cut that. Make it a really nice smooth edge. Now the first step today when finishing our Henri Matisse bowl is to paint the inside and the backside, the outside, with bright color paints. You're going to do 2 layers, 2 coats of the inside and 2 coats on the outside. You will get a tray of paint. You will pick 2 colors. You will pick one for the inside, and for the inside you want a lighter color so that all of your bright shapes will stand out. If you did something like a purple or a blue, maybe even a green, these bright colored shapes would not stand out. So I'm going to choose a light color for orange. You will get a second color. I already painted the bottom because you don't need to watch me paint the bottom, but I would have gotten purple as well. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start with the inside, and you're going to paint the entire thing orange. Now when you're painting, you want to make sure that you are getting in all of those little holes. You want to be careful when going on the edge here, because you don't want it to get on the bottom. Again, trying to get into all of those white spots of the plaster. We don't want to see any white. You are going to paint the inside and the outside. Two times. Letting it dry a little bit in between each coat. Now when you get to the end, when you've colored it all, you want to make sure you figure out what color you want to do that little edge. It could be either purple or orange, and you just want to carefully brush the side like that. You don't want that little part to go on white. Once you have painted the inside one layer, one coat, you can't see any white, then you will flip it over and you're going to do your second color. And when you're doing this, you want to be careful. You can kind of hold it like this and paint a purple and then rotate it, and you can kind of eventually, the paint dries very quickly, so you can just set it down on your placemat too. When you are painting the back side, when you're painting the outside, you don't want to paint over your name, or else we're not going to know whose is whose. So notice how I did a little bit, I made a pretty big circle around. You don't need to go that far because no one's going to see the bottom. You do want to paint all the edges so you can't see any white, and paint around your name. So go ahead and you're going to paint one light color here, one of any color on the back, another layer inside, and a second layer on the outside. once you have painted the inside and the outside, you are ready to add the collage, and we're ready to paint with our scissors like Henri Matisse. You can see that I have some geometric squares and rectangles, as well as some organic shapes using a variety of colors. For this part, we are going to be using tissue paper, scissors, and Mod Podge to glue it on there. Now when cutting out, you're going to cut out all your shapes and then you will glue them. So some, again, you may want to do more geometric. And others you may want to do more organic. You can see I've already kind of cut some out, and your scraps may have already had some cutouts. But you're not going to plan it. You are just going to freehand just kind of think of different shapes as you go. You will continue using a variety of colors. You can repeat colors, being a variety of shapes. Make sure you keep all of the scraps, because someone might be able to use that for some kind of organic shape, or maybe even this geometric shape. I can use both of these. And you're going to make a nice pile by your bowl so that you don't lose any of your shapes. Once you feel like you have enough shapes, you have some geometric shapes, you have some organic shapes, you are going to use the Mod Podge to glue it on the inside. You will notice that I did a lot of overlapping in my bowl. And you can see the layers behind each other because we are using tissue paper. You also notice that I have some around the sides, on the bottom, and even up on the lip of the bowl as well. So you're going to be using Mod Podge and paintbrush. What you're going to do is you're going to lay down a little Mod Podge. You're going to paint just a little Mod Podge wherever you want to put your first shape. You don't need a lot, as this is only tissue paper and it's really light. So I'll put a little bit down. And I'm going to start by putting this shape here. You want to lay it down gently. You want to try it so that you don't have any creases. If I need to put some down here, you certainly can. Now this is important to make sure that it really stays really well. You want to make sure that you put tissue, or you want to make sure you put paper, you want to make sure that you put this Mod Podge all over. Now my paint is still a little wet, yours will not be, so a little orange is getting on, but that's okay, it will dry clear. But you're going to put it all over, off to the sides a little bit, and this will make a shiny finish, and it will make sure it's nice and glued. If your shape does move a little bit, that's okay, just put it back in place, and then you can move on. I'm going to put another shape. I think I'm going to overlap, put a shape here, put this geometric shape, laying it down, and then, of course, very important, painting on top. So that it gets really nice and stuck. Another shape. Maybe this time I'll do an organic shape. Laying it down, patting it down, and then painting on top. You do not need to use a lot of Mod Podge. If you use too much Mod Podge and you can see white while you're painting, that means that it's not going to dry very clear and you need to use less Mod Podge. Put some Mod Podge where you're going to lay it. Lay your piece. Now if you have something that goes over the edge like this one, like this dark blue, you are going to cut it before you put Mod Podge on it. So I can take some scissors and cut it. Then I can keep going, put Mod Podge on there, smooth it, and then take my Mod Podge and go over it. You will continue this step, overlapping lots of organic shapes, geometric shapes. You will continue this step until it is all covered. Once you are totally done adding shapes and it's all covered, you can still see some in the background, but it's pretty much all covered. You are going to finish everything with Mod Podge. So even if there is paint without the paper, you still want to cover it with Mod Podge so it looks like it has the same finish. I'm not going to paint over this again, but I am just going to go in and make sure that it's all covered in Mod Podge so it dries smoothly and it has the same finish.